Hello everyone, this is Mujexzilla, also known as the Cynical Gamer, and welcome to another World of Warcraft vanilla guide. Today we'll be talking about enchanting. This guide will show you how to get your enchanting skill from 0 to 300 as quickly as humanly possible and as cheaply as humanly possible, as enchanting can be a very expensive profession to level up. The guide will only use recipes available at the trainer until 265 skill, and onward we'll be using vendor recipes. This guide only uses recipes that require components acquired through disenchanting. Shards will be avoided as much as possible because they are a little bit more difficult to get. And obviously once you reach 300, what you do is up to you. Although I will state that some of the more rare enchanting recipes are acquired through 40-man and 20-man raiding, as well as disgustingly long rep grinds. So, the next time you get a rare enchant, take a moment to thank the person that did it, because without, what word am I looking for? Without tenacious enchanters like them, our items would remain unenchanted. So with that said, let's get into it. Alright, so before we actually get into the recipes we're gonna use to level up our alchemy skill, let's talk a little bit about the way you will do so. Now, enchanting can be leveled up two ways: a cheap and longer way. Well, actually cheaper, because you will still have to buy some things, and a very expensive and very fast way. The very expensive way obviously relies on buying everything you need from the auction house. If you go the auction house route, you should expect spending anywhere between 500 and 1000 gold, depending on the server you play on, of course, and the general economy. But let's talk a little bit about disenchanting, because if you go the cheaper and longer way, meaning disenchanting greens, you should know a little bit about the level ranges of the items and what you should expect to get when you disenchant them. And generally, dust comes from armor and essence come from weapons, but again, because of the RNG nature of disenchant, it can be either or, so you should expect a little bit of RNG. So, with that being said, let's get into the actual enchanting recipes we're gonna use. So, before we even start, the first thing you need to do is craft a runed copper rod. Now, don't worry, the materials are available from your local enchanting vendor, and it will give you 1 skill point. Okay, so after you craft your runed copper rod, between 2 and 75, you will be using Enchant Bracer Minor Health. For the 75 to 85 skill bracket, you'll be using Enchant Bracer Minor Deflection. So for the 85 to 100 skill bracket, you'll be using Enchant Bracer Minor Stamina. Next up, you'll craft the Rune Silver Rod, which will give you 1 skill point and is, well, obviously necessary to continue. After you've crafted your Rune Silver Rod, you'll be continuing the enchant to use Enchant Bracer Minor Stamina until you get to 105. So for the 105 to 120 skill bracket, you will be using Enchant Bracer Minor Agility. For the 120 to 130 skill bracket, you will be using Enchant Shield Minor Stamina. For the 130 to 150 skill bracket, you will be using Enchant Bracer Lesser Stamina. For the next skill point, you will have to craft Runed Golden Rod to continue, and it will give you 1 skill point. So after you've crafted your Runed Golden Rod to 160, you will continue using Enchant Bracer Lesser Stamina. For the 160 to 165 skill bracket, you will be using Enchant Shield Lesser Stamina. For the 165 to 180 skill bracket, you will be using Enchant Bracer Spirit. For the 180 to 200 skill bracket, you will be using Enchant Bracer Strength. Okay, so in order to continue, you will have to craft a Runed True Silver Rod, which will give you 1 skill point. After you've crafted your Runed True Silver Rod, continue using Enchant Bracer Strength until you get to 205. For the 205 to 225 skill bracket, you'll be using Enchant Cloak Greater Defense. For the 225 to 235 skill bracket, you'll be using Enchant Gloves Agility. For the 235 to 245 skill bracket, you'll be using Enchant Chest Superior Health. For the 245 to 265 skill bracket, you'll be using Enchant Bracer Greater Strength. Alright, so once you get to 265, like I said in the beginning, you'll be using vendor recipes. So for the 265 to 290 skill bracket, you will be using Enchant Shield Greater Stamina, which you can get from Mithrin Dir in Darnassus or Daniel Bartlett in Undercity. An alternative is, if you can find the recipe on the auction house, Enchant Boots Greater Stamina. The reagents are the same. Whichever one is more convenient to you, use that one. So for the final skill bracket, you'll be using Enchant Cloak Greater Defense, which you can get from Lorelei Wintersong in Moonglade. She also sells the runed Arcanite Rod, which you don't need to get to 300, but if you are even remotely serious about your enchanting career, you will need anyway, so you might as well get the recipe and craft it. Whether you craft it at 290 and then use the cloak greater defense until 300, or use the cloak recipe until 299 and craft the rod for the final skill point, whichever way you do it, it's completely up to you. But like I said, if you are serious about your enchanting career, you will need the runed Arcanite Rod anyway. I know it is a little expensive, but there's no getting around it. Okay, so before we end this guide, here is an estimated amount of all of the materials you'll need to get from 0 to 300. Let's start with the rods. Copper rod, 1 silver rod, 1 golden rod, 1 true silver rod, and 1 arcanite rod. 1 shadow gem, 1 iridescent pearl, 1 black pearl, 1 golden pearl. Next, the shards. 4 small brilliant shards, 2 large brilliant shards. And now the dusts. You will need about 180 strange dust, 90 soul dust, 170 vision dust, 320 dream dust, 90 illusion dust. Now the essences: 15 lesser magic essence, 25 greater magic essence, 15 lesser astral essence, 2 greater astral essence, 25 lesser mystic essence, 2 greater mystic essence, 15 lesser nether essence, 25 greater nether essence, and 4 greater eternal essence. It sounds like a lot, and it is a lot. Enchanting is not terribly complicated, but it takes a long time if you're willing to do it the disenchanting way, and if you do it the auction house way, it's gonna impact your pockets quite substantially. Alrighty then, if you followed every single step, you are now at 300 enchanting. Congratulations! Although one might say that the real grind is only just beginning. Now, closing thoughts on enchanting. The way you enchant is up to you. You can either use white or gray items in your backpack, or enchant your own gear, which is the most efficient way. Or you can spam trade chat and local chat to give away free enchants for the skill points, which will take you significantly longer. The way you do it is completely up to you. Also, I highly recommend picking up tailoring if you're going with the chatting, because it's a good dynamic, as you can disenchant every green item which you craft with tailoring. Alright, so I really hope this guide was useful to you. If it was, please consider leaving a like. It really helps the channel out. And if you hit that subscribe button, don't forget to hit that bell icon as well to receive notifications whenever I release a new video or start live streaming. Thanks a lot for watching, and I will see you next time.